What is the closest non-sexual thing to an orgasm you have experienced? That one time I used a neti pot and the sinus infection that had been ruining my life for the past week came out in one glorious blob. I swear to God it was like the size of a softball. All one gelatinous blob. I cried. Amazing. This happened to me on a smaller scale last week. After my last ear/sinus infection, my doctor recommended an ET pot. Cleared the gunk right out and helped me heal faster. So I kept it around. The other day, my throat hurt really bad, and I was scared I was getting an infection. So I used my ET pot. Some gross junk came out, and my throat felt like heaven afterwards. I've had that happen to me a few years back. I had a stuffy nose for weeks. One morning I decided to put my face under running hot water and that probably loosened the blob that was stuck in there. A full-on oyster came out. It was gross, fascinating, and so relieving at the same time. Had a severe poison oak rash all over my upper arm and shoulder. It itched like mad. I went in the shower and turned the water to near scalding hot and blasted my poison oak rash with it. It felt so good I had this weird full body orgasm. I was shuddering in pleasure as I stood in the shower. Back when capri pants were all the rage for ladies, I was wearing them while doing a tour of a banana plantation. I didn't see, hear, or feel any mosquitoes out there, but the next day I discovered that I had about 40 mosquito bites all over my calves and shins. It itched so bad I thought I might seriously injure myself. I went to take a shower thinking maybe blasting some ice water on my legs would help numb my nerves and give me some relief. It didn't. But when I got out, my friend handed me some Gold Bond medicated anti-itch lotion. I figured it's bullshit, but I'll try anything at this point. Plus I always put lotion on after a shower. So I'll just sub this special lotion for my normal shit. Rub the lotion all over my legs, and I swear to God in about 15 seconds it felt like 1,000 angels had descended from heaven to gently scratch my mosquito bites without injuring my skin. Absolute fucking miracle. Felt so good. If Mr. Gold Bond had been there I probably would have blown him to thank him. It was that good. If Mr. Gold Bond had been there I probably would have blown him to thank him. It was that good. Haha. That is quite an endorsement. I'll have to check this lotion out. Getting my ear flushed out with warm water. Years ago I used one of those beeswax candle things that supposedly suck wax out of your ear when you light them on fire. Well, some of the ash floated down into the cone and hit my eardrum. So I went to the doctor and they flushed it out with a warm solution, and it was the most satisfying feeling I've ever felt to date. Orgasm aside, I have an intermittent issue with earwax clogging my ears. Once upon a time it was so bad it actually completely clogged one ear. I went to an urgent care clinic, and they set about unclogging it. 15 minutes on my side, listening to the snap crackle pop as the chemical softens it up. Nurse comes in, moves my head, positions my ear over one of those kidney-shaped trays, starts using her syringe with more force than I would have expected. Sounds weird. Borderline painful. Who shouldn't a plug the size of a freaking nickel is in the tray? I have the same issue. My body makes tons of earwax. It's all dry, and I have tiny ears and tinier ear canals. I have to get my ears irrigated if you will, every few months. My right one is due for an irrigation right now actually. When I first found out it was a problem, it was during a wrestling match. I knew there were only a few seconds left of the match, so I shot in for my takedown to seal the win. Not hearing anything thinking it was just adrenaline. And once I finished the takedown I heard a really loud buzz. Figured it was the whistle. I walk towards the center to get my hand raised when I see the crowd pointing and screaming, and my coach jumping and screaming his head off. The other guy was still on the ground, confused, so I just jumped back on. Afterwards I found my family and told them I couldn't hear, and they brought me to the ER and found out my ears were just so damn clogged. They ended up giving me this stuff. Forget what it's called, and I'm too lazy to go grab it, but it's actually a liquid laxative, and I soak my ears canals with it for 15 minutes, and it feels wonderful. Then I get a huge hypodermic needle thing, minus the needle, and push the water out like hell into my ears. It might take a few tries, but I always end with a massive, disgustingly colored glob of earwax in the tin that catches it. Then I realize I've been hearing at like 40% capacity for weeks, and it's a wonderful feeling being able to hear 100% again. Growing up, I had an ongoing issue with getting water in my ears after swimming. One day after getting out of the pool, my hearing just went completely quiet. I was freaking out. My dad thought it might be impacted wax, so he bought me that solution with a teardrop squirter. The first time I irrigated my ears, I couldn't believe how much impacted wax came out. It was literally 2 large earplugs. I thought I could hear colors when it was over. I swear this whole comment thread is targeted advertisement for earwax clearing products, and it has worked a charm. I need to buy one of those things just to find out if I can get superhuman hearing. I had Rocky Mountain spotted fever and was lost in a brutal heat pain delirium for several days. When the fever broke, I was immediately drenched in sweat and felt a relief that was damn near orgasmic. I'm in a region that has Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and I spend a whole lot of time out in the woods. I keep an eye on all tick bites. Once I got into a bunch of sea ticks. Worst day ever. I was wearing long socks, and when I took them off, my calves looked like they were covered in thousands of poppy seeds. I had to literally scrape thousands of these darn sea ticks off my leg with a credit card with my foot hanging out of a car window on the way home. I'm a big proponent of deep now though. I didn't need to know that this was a thing that could happen, thanks. I'm asthmatic. The first breath with an inhaler 12 hours after your asthma starts to bother you and you forgot yours at home. When you get that first full lung full of beautiful air, or when the inhaler isn't cutting it, the first minute or so on a nebulizer. I was working to install some factory test systems in Newark, and was going home to Detroit the next day and didn't get any sleep that night because every time I would nod off, my throat would basically collapse. Like apnea plus almost no lung capacity from an asthma attack. I must have used the rescue inhaler 50 times that night. When my flight got in, my wife took me straight to the ER. Nothing like a hometowner and a breathing treatment full of albuterol. Oh yes, the nebulizer. Noisy bastard was my guardian angel when I was young. Being able to breathe. The feeling of safety. Chef's kiss. There are silent ones now. They use an ultrasonic vibrating mesh to aerosolize the medicine. They are handheld size and battery powered. It's a real game changer. Wow. I can't even imagine. Mine was like a green box that used to wake up the whole house. I'm so glad that technology improvements like that happen. I can still hear the drone of mine in my mind. Finally letting loose with a burstingly full bladder after a long car ride. Truth. Going for a pee when holding it in for ages is almost orgasmic. Especially when you're drunk. Almost. Bro, it's better than any orgasm ever. Found R. Kelly's Reddit account. Hot shower after being cold. Or, and hear me out, the opposite, on a really hot day stepping into a cool shower and just spending 10 minutes in there because it bring you back down to body temp. So good. Ooh yes, that too. I'm not a very good musician, but I have had a few really great experiences with nailing some improvisational moments with a few friends. There's nothing quite like it. Holy shit, yes. Nothing like a really great jam and just being in the music. One time, I had a big stretch after a few hours sitting at my computer, and my back popped in 5 places. So good. After a headache of 2 days, I managed to finally pop my neck. Sudden release of tension and the pain was gone. I wish all my headaches could be resolved like that. Pop it hard enough and it'll be your last headache though. Second best way to go. First place is death by snoo. When you feel like you're gonna throw up and the stomachache goes away when you burp. Oh my gosh, that's the best in the world. Especially because I'm super afraid of throwing up. I didn't know other people were like this. I get panic attacks when I feel like throwing up. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had a panic attack, but I do get so anxious when I'm nauseous. It's horrible. Finally sneezing and when the chills come up your spine. paying all bills off and having money to spare, right? God, eating out with that extra money after cooking at home all week is such a treat. After cooking at home all week, my fiance and I were super frugal while I went through school that even now we'll order out somewhere maybe once a month and cook at home the rest. Feels weird to think about eating out that much. Remembering the right answer for a test. Oh man. On the same level, I majored in computer science in college, and one time I spent like 5 weeks, 8-10 HRS/day 7 days a week trying to figure out why my program would randomly not work when it worked so perfectly all the other times. I crawled so deep inside my brain picturing the code in my head, and when I finally figured out what was causing those random failures, it was a total braingasm. Hopped on the computer, edited a few lines of code, and bam, fucking solved. I've never faced anything so intellectually challenging in my life since then. Not even in real life work, mainly because real life work is very different than academic setting work. So it was so satisfying to debug that one thing in my head that one time. Many of my friends are CS students and it's so fun to just see their face change when they realize what's wrong with their code. I swear, I don't think I've ever felt as much joy as a devoted programmer finally debugging their code. And majority of the time it's self-inflicted. Such a love-hate relationship. No one gonna talk about the feeling when you rub your eyes and you can't stop. It feels like an eye orgasm, and they squeak too. At least mine do when I rub them. When I rub mine, my eyelids get filled with air bubbles that pop when you rub them further. What the fuck did I just read? JPG. That's funny. I like pulling my eyelid away from the ball and letting the air in there and trapping it in there and rolling my eye around, massaging my eye. When I was much younger I was a pretty hardcore stoner. The first time I planned to do a mushroom trip, I stocked up on traditional munches, chips, pizza, hot pockets and stuff. A few hours in, I decided to bust them out and was mortified at how overwhelmingly disgusting it all was. Next trip, I went out on a limb and bought a big bowl of mixed fruit. I literally could not contain myself. I had to go outside to eat it away from my roommates because I could not stop laughing maniacally at how unbelievably delicious it was. Every bite, every gush of fruit juice sent me into pure, giddy, holy bliss. I can only imagine what our neighbors must have thought of me sitting in the backyard cracking up and losing my mind over a bowl of fruit. Farting really loudly when no one's around. Farting really loudly when everyone is around. To establish dominance. You only establish dominance if you're staring someone down when you do it. E.g. do it to your boss right before you walk in to ask for a raise. Stepping out of heels or scratching under the top of socks/bra strap or just taking the bra off the instant I get home. Oh yes. And the feeling when you rub your scalp after taking out a tight ponytail. That first scratch. Sneezing. Same. I'm one of those sun sneezers. And a great sneeze after leaving a dark movie theater feels incredible. Sun sneezer gang. You mean to tell me that not everyone sneezes from the sun? Popping a joint after it's been sore for a while and getting a sudden flood of pain relief. Similar to this. About 10 years ago, when I was still working as a bartender, I was talking to some of the guys who worked there about my back bothering me. One of the bouncers, who was a pretty huge guy, was like, "Let me see." So he felt around on my back for a second and said, "Feels like you've got a walnut stuck in here." Then he just like jammed his knuckle into the spot really hard for a couple seconds, and I swear it felt like a warm waterfall went down my back. The pain and knot were gone, and it just felt like warm comfort. I had a pinched nerve between my spine and shoulder blade that was unbearable for about a week. Nothing worked. Heat, cold, having my so massage it, etc. A friend from out of town was home visiting her parents and she stopped by. She is a masseuse at a pain clinic. I said, "Hey, I hate to ask, but I'm miserable. Could you check it out? If I need to see a doctor or go get a proper massage or whatever, I will. I just need an opinion." She had me sit backward on a chair and felt around for a minute. She said, Oh wow, yeah, I bet that hurts. Have you been having headaches? Yes. Does it hurt all the way down to your hip? Yes. Okay. Take a deep breath. And breathe out for me. Bruh. Not sure exactly what she did, but she dug one of her knuckles into a very specific spot for about 15 seconds. I literally thought I was going to soil myself. It was like panic inducing, almost because it hurt so bad and felt so good. 30 seconds after she did it, it was like I'd never had a problem. Everything was totally loosened up and back to normal. And just like you said, it felt like there was a water balloon full of warm water in my head that drained out of my brain and all the way down my spine. I instantly felt better all over. IDKY, but my mind immediately pictured your friend as Phoebe from Friends. Oh wow. Yeah. It's such a very Phoebe thing to say. Rubbing my head after it's been buzz cut. First breeze or driving with the windows down after a fresh fade gives me the goozes. The goozes. Getting into clean sheets with freshly shaved legs. You put freshly shaved legs in your bed before you get in? That's creepy. Stay out of that guy's crawl space. Can't crawl without legs. Yes you can. I have a friend who lost his legs above the knee. He crawls faster than me. Having a really huge shit. The new man shit as I call it. You feel like a whole new person. I always feel bad for my patients who are constipated. People joke about it, but it's really unpleasant. Had a guy one time who hadn't pooped in 7 days. I finally managed to get things moving, but something bothered me, so I knocked on the door to check on him. After a while, I found him kind of pale, and he says he feels nauseated, vomits on the floor, and then passes out. Turns out he has a vasovagal reaction. The pressure of that much poop coming out stimulated the vagal nerve and caused his blood pressure to drop. He also ended up filling the entire toilet bowl. People playing with my hair. I always can't help but roll my eyes up out of satisfaction. It's weird that I do this. That's why I don't like people caressing my hair. Edit. Thank you for the award. Oh, I love a good scalp rub. You know how every cat or dog has that one little spot that kinda makes them so happy they drool a little? Yeah, right. Don't let most people scratch my scalp. At the salon where I used to get my hair cut, they had this one guy who worked there who had the biggest, strongest hands. One time he gave me a shampoo, and I had the goofiest grin on my face. It was pure ecstasy. His magic hands were missed when he moved up to hairstylist and stopped doing shampoos. It turns out a few little old ladies would try to bribe him to still give them their shampoos when they came in. He refused. Haha. Dude, shampoos felt the best. I'm a guy, so I've had it done like twice. I'm a dude, and I had a couples massage with my wife. I've been to Thailand and had some good massages there, but this day there was a lady and man masseurs, and they asked if I'd be okay with a male massaging me and a female massage my wife. This dude was a black man, built like a Linebacker, and it was the best and deepest massage I've ever had. His hands felt like an old leather briefcase. All innuendos aside, best massage I've ever had to this day. I told my conservative dad this, and he was sure I was gay. Cause he won't even eat food at a restaurant if he has a male server. Closing all the Chrome tabs after a long uni project. I feel this. I love it when I get to close all 5 windows with 20 tabs each after each term. Probably the most cathartic thing I've done ever. I do this every week with work. From day to day, I keep my tabs and documents open, just sleeping my PC. Then on a Friday afternoon, I close everything down and shut down the PC. It's the only way I know I've achieved anything. I used to do that, but I would start close everything I had completed around 3 o'clock. That gave me time to realize what I'd forgotten or put aside throughout the day and follow up / close out those tabs between there and 5. Anything left open became the first cab off the rank the next morning. Then I'd start the process again. Being very tired and falling into a freshly made bed with newly washed bed linen. Like heaven. Edit. Well, what do you know? Just writing a comment about sleeping, and now I have gold. THX kind stranger. I currently sleep in a bunk bed. So for me, I'm climbing the ladder to heaven. It is truly blissful, I must say. Crawling into cool fresh sheets after your shower on a day you were at the beach. Sun exhaustion. Clean feeling after shower. Comfy in sheets with the ack on. My favorite. Edit. You all keep commenting about shaving your legs first. You're all absolutely right. They're definitely just about as close as it gets. I thought this was too specific to be relatable, but I'm so glad it's not. Not at all. That gave me chills. Haven't had that feeling in so long. Abdominal pain going away and looking thinner after letting out a long airy fart. I love that feeling, OMG, it feels like my stomach is deflating.